These are indeed unprecedented times. And to make them truly historic requires us to look at public health anew. And this is what I believe we are here to do today. As I think of the day and all of us gathered here, and the power of our collective efforts to bring about transformative change, I think of the kente cloth. For those of you who know me, you see me don kente cloth on my head quite a bit. Most of the time, I'm having a bad hair day, or I need to be reminded of my heritage. 2021 has been interesting because it looks like I'm having a bad hair year, right? But we are not here to talk about my bad hair. We are here to use the kente cloth, as you see on the screen, as a symbolism of the power of our collective approach to transformative change. When I think about anti-racist public health in Minnesota, so let me tell you a story. Centuries before the white men came to Ghana, our elders and chiefs will wear the kente cloth to denote regal and royal status. And this is the story behind how the kente cloth came to be. In the 11th or 12th century, what our ancestors tell us is that a farmer was at his farm and he saw the spider making the web, right? So up to today, the kente cloth is woven in the same way. And how it relates to all of us and our time together and these unprecedented times that we are in is the fact that this tapestry that you see on the screen doesn't just happen. The weaver has to meticulously and intentionally bring together different kinds of yarn, different colors, different strands, different kinds of materials, silk, cotton. The weaver will blend all of them together to create this beautiful tapestry. And like you see on my head, it reminds me of what Dr. Martin Luther King said. We are all tied together in a single garment of destiny. We are in an inescapable network of mutuality. And to tie it all together, can you imagine if the weaver only took a blue yarn or silk cloth and made a kente cloth? How boring and unimpactful that kente cloth would look. So think about this. No one can do this by themselves. Remember, the single garment of destiny and that tapestry is going to take you and I. It's going to take our communities. It's going to take the legislature. It's going to take the government. It's going to take all the institutions we represent to come together to fight systemic change for us to be able to see the kind of anti-racist public health that is needed to protect. Yes, I said protect, right? And improve the health of all people and all communities. So I invite you to lean in and join us today to reimagine. So now I am going to quote and sing Sir John, right? Imagine there's no racism. It's easy if you try. And this was just a teaser. If you want to hear the rest of the song, stay and hang on with us. In the interim, please join me in welcoming my badass co-chair of MPHA 21, Elizabeth Moore, partner at Dendros. Thank you, Medase.
Thank you so much, Rosemond. Thank you for that powerful welcome. I am so honored to count you co-chair, but also a dear friend, a mother. I know you as a humorist, an author, and I met you when I was at Blue Cross, and you are the director of racial and health equity at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. So thank you for warming us up and bringing us to the moment today. As we get our meeting started, I am going to read our ancestral land statement, which we do every time we begin an MPHA meeting. We ask that you take a moment to honor and acknowledge that we are on the ancestral homelands of the Dakota and Anishinaabe people. Indigenous people have a long history and connection to the land here since time immemorial and are the original stewards of lands and waters. Many American Indians were forcibly exiled from their lands because of aggressive and persistent settler colonialism and US governmental policies, but they persevered. We make this acknowledgement to honor the Dakota and Anishinaabe people, ancestors and descendants, as well as the land itself. We always start all of our MPHA meetings with this ancestral land statement, and we are very proud of the work that our Health Equity Committee has done to create this opening for us. I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, and we will highlight them throughout the conference. I believe there's a slide with our sponsors on it, and I just want you to know how grateful you are. And if this meeting theme is bold and humble, our sponsors and the people who have worked on this conference have humbled us with their bold commitment to this work. I also want to take a look at the order of the day. Today, Thursday, we will be starting with a plenary session from Dr. Jose Ramon Fernandez Peña, who is this year's president of the American Public Health Association. We will go on to concurrent sessions. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to Ebony Coles, who will lead us in Kemetic Yoga for our active break. Then we will have another set of breakout sessions and a final plenary from the Great Lakes Public Health Coalition. And finally, we have post-conference bingo, networking, and prizes. I really hope you can hang out with us for that, because our social time has always been one of our favorite parts of MPHA. I also want to make a note that we are joined today by American Sign Language interpreters who will be part of the sessions, but you might not see them. And we're really proud as MPHA to be able to make the conference accessible to people who speak sign language. So I want to make a few remarks as I introduce Dr. Fernandez Peña. And I want to tell you a little bit about our thinking about the conference. Last year, MPHA declared racism a public health emergency. And last year at our conference in September, Dr. Nathan Chomillo challenged us to action. He had some powerful words that really struck many of us, that we'd spent enough time admiring the problem of racism and its intersection with health and equity and disparities, describing it. And it was really beyond time in 2020 to take action as a health sector, as a sector that was experiencing an incredible pressure last year. When we planned this conference, Rosemond and I said, we're really gonna make sure that this next conference is about action. And we challenged our committee to help us think of ways to include action and calls to action and showcasing what we're already doing and imagining what we could be doing together. And we had no idea what April 2021 would bring. We've experienced this last year, and especially the last week, as a time of grief, loss, anger, and frustration in our communities, with a dash of hope or possibly accountability, but overshadowed by the challenges and that we're just beginning to address. And people are feeling the moment here. As I've talked to people throughout the state in the last couple of weeks, everybody is feeling in different ways, the feeling that, and we chose this photo, Verdict Day, to represent what we were feeling on the planning committee. It's a photo by Uzoma Abasi, who was able to be there on Verdict Day with Rodney Floyd, George Floyd's youngest brother, and his nephew, Brandon Williams. And this image of embracing and supporting each other here in our community really touched us. And we wanted to highlight the way that art can sometimes convey what words are not able to. So being a strategic organization, our conference, as we designed it, has 4 different breakout session opportunities. And we asked for presenters to propose sessions that followed the MPHA strategic plan, because we wanted to highlight the way that throughout our strategic plan, all of us as members of MPHA and as the greater public health and health community are working to become anti-racist. And we want to feel proud of the work we're doing and challenge ourselves to feel like more is possible and we can ask ourselves to do more. I wanted to thank the hard work of our committees, because the work that's represented in this meeting today is because of this really strong network we have at MPHA. It's our conference planning committee, our health equity committee, our policy and advocacy committee, our communications committee, and our membership committee in particular, as well as our governing council. I want to just briefly thank Mary for her hard work and coordination and attention to detail of every kind. Thank you, Mary. I want to thank Kathy Norleen, our current MPHA president, for really helping us come along as a group and stay together and stay unified, just as we are having all kinds of hard discussions together. I want to thank each member of the annual meeting planning committee. I especially want to reach out and appreciate Delaney and Emily, who have brought the students to this meeting. We have a huge contingent of students because Delaney and Emily have made huge connections with many of the public health schools in our region. And we're so grateful for that influx where we can talk across points in our career about what public health is all about. I also want to be sure to say that Delaney and Ellen and Kristen and many others have, and have really worked hard on the promotions for this meeting. We've never had such a coordinated approach to promoting a meeting. So thank you for getting 200 people here. We really appreciate it. And I want to thank the governing council for being willing to try a new model for the conference, including an online entirely model, and being willing to, for one thing, compensate breakout session presentations. That was a new move for us, and I'm really proud of our willingness to do that. So thank you also to all the breakout session presenters. You're what's going to make the beating heart of our conference. So, and along the way, we will be, like I said, along the way, we'll be thanking our sponsors.